You're listening to the Grace Plus Zero podcast, exploring the crossroads of culture, faith, and family from a biblical worldview. And now your host.
But Jesus beheld them and said unto them, with men this is impossible, but with God all things are possible. Matthew 19:26. Hello and welcome to Grace Plus Zero. I'm your host, Brian Moore, and this is an episode of Crumbs, Matthew 19, verse 26. In the book of Matthew, we read of a young man who asked the Lord a very serious and profound question. Good master, what good things shall I do that I may have eternal life? Now, this young man thought that he could keep the law, perform some act, responsibility, or duty, and in turn obtain eternal life. The young man went on to state that he had kept all of the commandments from his youth up. And knowing, of course, that this was not the truth, the Lord later instructed him to give all that he had to the poor. The young man, having many possessions, went away sorrowful. The apostles later asked the Lord, who then can be saved? And the Lord answered with 5 simple words, with men this is impossible. Today, there are untold millions of people that are much like the young man in Matthew 19. They want to know what they can do to have eternal life. This young man, it's very, very obvious what is being discussed here, and it is eternal salvation. This young man was not wavering. He wasn't running from the subject. He was very clear and upfront. He wanted to know what he could do to obtain eternal life. Well, a lot of people today have the same question, and they believe that eternal life is earned or it is merited. In other words, it's in their hands. Despite the simple fact that the Lord has already given the answer, there are many false teachers out there ready to give another answer. And their answer usually suggests things like, well, answer an altar call, or recite some prearranged sinner's prayer, subject yourselves to water baptism, or perform a collection of other duties and responsibilities and works. It's ad infinitum. I mean, it just goes on and on and on, all the different things that so many people believe that they have to do. I heard one elder one time say that all you have to do is outrun the devil till you die, don't eat hog meat, and you'll be fine. Well, some people actually prescribe to stuff like that. Well, the arrogance of this false teaching is that it plainly contradicts the simple teaching of the Bible. I'm convinced that there are many who believe this doctrine, but they believe it more so out of ignorance. Ignorance isn't a bad word. It just means that they do not know. I'm also convinced that there's even more who support it because they're more concerned with pleasing the masses. I once worked with a gentleman who was a pastor of another order, and he and I were having a discussion about grace, and he told me, he said, I believe exactly what you believe in regarding grace. And I said, no, I think you're using the same vocabulary. You're just using a different dictionary. And he set out to expound and explain to me what he meant by grace. And sure enough, at the end, he believed exactly what I believed. But I asked him the question. I said, "What do you preach it at your church?" And he says, "Nope, I sure don't." He said, "Because if I did, I wouldn't stay around too long." That told me all I need to know about that gentleman. He was there to please the masses. When the book of Hebrews, it says, and this is what is written, for the law made nothing perfect, but the bringing in of a better hope did, by the which we draw nigh unto God. That's Hebrews 7:19. Therefore, if a person is looking to the law or some man-made law to obtain or earn eternal life, there's only one answer, and it came from the mouth of the one who knows it all. With men, this is impossible.